Welcome back to respiration part 2, mechanism of breathing. Today let us discuss about mechanism of breathing. Yesterday in previous class we have discussed about the pathway of air, how the air enters from outside into the lungs through the passage. For example, the way how the air enters is nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli of lungs and blood. Today let us discuss how this air enters. The mechanism of breathing. Breathing means taking air inside and giving out carbon dioxide. Taking air inside is called inhalation and giving out air is called exhalation. Both inhalation and exhalation together we call it as breathing. What we call it? Breathing. Inhalation, exhalation together is called breathing. Inhalation is also called as inspiration. Exhalation is also called as expiration. Let us see what are the respiratory organs. The respiratory organs are lungs. What are the respiratory organs? Lungs. Lungs cannot expand of their own. They cannot contract, they cannot expand of their own. Then how the air goes inside. A question arises how the air move in and out. Then before going to that, let us discuss the lungs are present in a chest cavity. There are a pair of lungs in a chest cavity. This is trachea. The trachea enters into the chest cavity. When it enters into the chest cavity, it divides into bronchi, then it divides into bronchioles and ends with air sacs called alveoli. They ends with air sacs called alveoli. Exchange of gases takes place in alveoli. Now the left lung is smaller than the right lung. Right lung is made up of 3 lobes. Left lung is made up of 2 lobes. Why the left lung is smaller? To provide space for heart. That's why the heart is located slightly towards the left. So that's why left lung is smaller and it is made up of 2 lobes. And right lung is made up of 3 lobes. Now let us see how the air moves in and out of the chest cavity. Chest cavity, the trunk is divided into chest cavity and abdominal cavity. Chest cavity and abdominal cavity. The chest wall is made up of muscles. Chest wall is made up of muscles. And these muscles are, and the chest wall is made up of muscles and ribs are attached to the spine at an angle. Now, this abdominal cavity and chest cavity is separated by muscular flap valve-like structure called diaphragm. Diaphragm separates the chest cavity as well as abdominal cavity. Diaphragm is a muscular valve which play a very important role in respiration. The process of respiration or the mechanism of respiration is involved by 2 major things. One is diaphragm, another is ribs. Diaphragm and ribs. These 2 play a very major role in respiration or in breathing, to inhale air or to exhale air. Now let us see how the air enters into the lungs. I already said lungs cannot take the air of their own. They cannot expand, they cannot contract. There are certain muscles and ribs and diaphragm plays a major role in taking air inside and giving air outside. Let us discuss about inhalation and exhalation. First, inhalation. Inhalation means taking air inside. When you take air inside, all of you children breathe and check your chest cavity. The ribs slightly raise. When you take air inside, the ribs slightly raise. And the diaphragm is pulled downward and become flat. See, when the lungs are in the resting stage, the diaphragm will be in the form of dome shape. In inhalation, when you take air, you can even examine your chest cavity. You take air, inhale air and touch your ribs slightly, the ribs will raise up and the diaphragm will be pulled down and become flat. When these 2 things happen, the ribs raise up slightly, diaphragm pull down, the volume of chest cavity increases. And pressure decreases. The outside the air pressure is more compared to the air pressure inside. So when there is a difference in the air pressure, the air rushes from higher pressure to lower pressure. Already you learned this diffusion, higher pressure to lower pressure. So air diffuses from outside environment to inside environment. This is called inhalation. What we call it? Inhalation. Now let us go for exhalation. So after inhalation, what will happen? When you take air inside, when you want to give your air outside, the ribs will become slant and move downward. When you go for your relaxation phase, you can even feel it. The ribs will go down and diaphragm goes up and made a dome shape. The diaphragm will appear in the form of dome shape. And the volume of chest cavity, the size of the space of this chest cavity, because of ribs moving downward, diaphragm taking the shape of dome, the volume of chest cavity decreases and pressure increases. So inside the more pressure, the air will rushes from inside our body to outside due to difference in the pressure. This is called inhalation and exhalation. Mainly inhalation and exhalation are controlled by diaphragm and ribs. Let us discuss what are the factors that affect the rate of breathing. Before going to the rate of breathing, the rate of breathing is different in different age groups. A newborn baby breathes 32 times per minute, and an adult healthy man breathes 18 times a minute. And the rate of breathing differ from exercises. During exercises, the rate of breathing will be more, and when you take rest, the breathing rate slow down. So what are the factors that affect the rate of breathing? See, while you are doing exercises, while you are running, your leg muscle need more energy. So more energy, if you need more energy, you need more oxygen, because oxygen will break down the glucose and produce energy. So when you need more oxygen, you inhale more and more. So your inhalation and exhalation increases, become more. More the energy, more the oxygen, more the inhalation and exhalation. So whenever there is a demand for oxygen, demand for energy or demand for oxygen, the rate of breathing will increase so that it can supply sufficient amount of energy to particular organs or cells. Okay children, that's all for today's class. We'll meet in the next session, respiration part 3. Any minutes.